Everything behind me is the U.S. Army controls more firepower than most nations combined. Right now, deep inside fortified buildings, scattered across hundreds of bases, billions of dollars worth of weapons sit in near-perfect condition, cleaned, cataloged, and ready to be handed to a soldier within minutes. Every serial number is tracked. Every trigger pull is logged. And some of these armories guard weapons so sensitive, they operate around the clock with the same security clearance level as nuclear sites. Most Americans never get to see inside these places. Today, that changes. Introduction. When most people think about the U.S. military, they think about jets, ships, or tanks. But before any soldier sets foot on a battlefield, before any mission gets the green light, there is one place every weapon must pass through: the armory. These are not simple storage rooms. These are fortress-level facilities built to a standard that would make a bank vault look casual. Guns, sniper rifles, specialized weapons for elite forces, and in some cases, hardware reserved exclusively for the most extreme operations the military runs. And the dollar values sitting inside these walls, we are talking billions with a B. What goes on inside these places is a story of discipline, precision, and an iron grip on accountability that most people have never heard about. If this kind of behind-the-scenes military content is what you're after, type proud in the comments below. It helps us know this is exactly what you want to see more of. Let's get into it. What is a military armory? First, let's clear something up, because there is a difference between what Hollywood shows you and what actually exists. In the U.S. military, the official term for where firearms are stored on a base is called an arms room. In large quantities, is kept separately in what are called ammunition storage facilities or ammo dumps. The word armory is the broader term that covers the whole system. These arms rooms are built to meet a specific military regulation, Army Regulation 1901. That document sets the physical security requirements for every single firearms storage facility across the U.S. military. It is not optional. It is law. What does that mean in practice? It means the building must have reinforced walls. The doors must resist forced entry. The locks must meet federal standards, and in many cases, combination codes are required to change every year or whenever personnel rotate out. Lighting around the facility must be sufficient to deter unauthorized access at all hours. Physical barriers like fences and gates must exist around the perimeter, and the entire system is designed around one idea: zero tolerance for unauthorized access. These are not rooms where someone can just walk in. Even authorized soldiers go through a structured check-in and check-out process every single time they touch a weapon, and every weapon they touch is already tied to their identity in the system. Now, here is where it gets interesting, because the technology behind how these weapons are tracked has changed dramatically in recent years. The tracking system. Every firearm in the U.S. Army has a serial number. That serial number is not just a label. It is the weapon's identity. It gets logged into a centralized system that tracks where the weapon is, who last had it, when it was last inspected, whether it has had any malfunctions, and what maintenance has been performed on it. Modern armories now integrate barcode scanning and RFID tracking, radio frequency identification, so that inventory checks that once took hours can now be completed in minutes. Weapon tracking software gives armory specialists what they call a chain of custody. Record from the moment a weapon enters the system to the moment it leaves. This matters enormously, especially when you're talking about thousands of weapons stored in a single facility. Before any weapon leaves the armory, it is inspected. The soldier receiving it must confirm it is safe, functional, and clear of any live rounds. When it comes back, it goes through the same check. If a malfunction was reported in the field, that weapon is immediately flagged with a yellow maintenance indicator, physically tagged and pulled from the operational pool until it has been inspected by a trained armorer. Nothing malfunctioning goes back to a soldier. Not once. That is the standard. And when you have weapons worth hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in one building, that standard is not just policy. It is national security. But here is something most people do not know. There is one armory in the U.S. military that operates at a completely different level. Facility that guards weapons used to protect nuclear assets. And the rules there are not just strict. They are unlike anything else in the armed forces. That is coming up next. Nuclear-level security armories. Not every U.S. Army armory holds the same class of weapons. Most facilities manage standard infantry firearms, carbines, pistols, machine guns. But a select group of armories operates at an entirely different threat level. One of the most well-known examples is the 341st Security Support Squadron Armory at Malmstrom, Ostrom Air Force Base in Montana. This facility runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day of the year. Its mission is to maintain and secure weapons used specifically by personnel who guard nuclear missile fields and base assets. Think about what that means. Soldiers pulling security at sites where intercontinental ballistic missiles are stored, they get their weapons from an armory like this. The weapons must be in perfect condition at all times. There is no acceptable margin for error. None. The security protocols at these facilities go beyond what is required at a standard arms room. Access controls are multi-layered. Personnel clearances are at the highest levels, and the physical infrastructure of the building itself is built to a hardened standard that can withstand attempts at forced entry. This is the armory system working at its absolute peak. Quiet, invisible, and essential. And here's the piece that often gets overlooked. These facilities also serve as the maintenance hub for those weapons. Armory specialists at nuclear security armies do not just hand out firearms. They inspect, repair, and certify every weapon under their care, ensuring that the men and women standing guard over the most powerful weapons on Earth are carrying firearms that will not fail them. The weapons inside. Now let's talk about what is actually stored in these armories, because the variety and value of the weapons is staggering. The M4A1 carbine is the backbone of the U.S. Army's infantry arsenal. It fires 5.56 by 45mm NATO ammunition, weighs just under 8 pounds fully loaded, and can fire up to 950 rounds per minute in full automatic. The Army converted more than 300,000 M4 carbines to the upgraded M4A1 standard beginning in 2011. That program alone involved a massive logistical operation, weapon by weapon, unit by unit, all flowing through the armory system. But the M4A1 is now beginning its transition out. In 2022, the U.S. Army selected the Sig Sauer MCX Spear, designated the M7 as the winner of the Next Generation Squad Weapon Program. In 2025, the Army introduced both the M7 carbine and the M250 squad automatic weapon, chambered in the new 6.8 by 51mm round. The Department of Defense plans to spend $395.5 million in fiscal year 2026 alone on these next-generation rifles and automatic weapons. Weapons. On the handgun side, the Sig Sauer M17 and M18 military versions of the P320 replaced the Beretta M9 pistol that had served since 1985. In 2017, Army awarded Sig Sauer $580 million contract, the new handguns, with plans to purchase over 280,000 units across the services. For precision work, the Army's precision sniper rifle, used by dedicated marksmen, is expected to have over 20,500 units in the Army's arsenal by the end of fiscal year 2025. These rifles hold accuracy out to ranges that are hard to understand, beyond 1,000 meters. And then there are the specialized weapons carried by elite forces. The Mk16 SCAR used by Navy SEALs, Mk13 sniper rifle issued with a suppressor, and the Barrett M107 anti-material rifle capable of destroying equipment and vehicles at ranges exceeding half a mile. Each of these weapons flows through the armory system. Each is tracked, maintained, and ready. The armorer, the unsung hero, behind every combat-ready weapon, is a person most people have never heard of. The armorer. Armory specialists are the professionals responsible for keeping every firearm in their facility mission-ready. They handle inventory management, weapon inspection, regular maintenance, and repair work. On any given day, they might be logging in weapons returned from a training exercise, tagging a rifle for maintenance after a soldier reports a jam, or working at a bench to rebuild a component from scratch. The skill level required for this work is significant. Out of 200,000 Marines, only 60 are certified to repair and build precision weapons, crafting components like barrels using blueprints and specialized lathes. At that level, the armorer is as much a craftsman as a soldier, and the work never stops. Armory specialists operate in facilities that run around the clock at major installations. They are responsible for weapons worth tens of millions.